Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we have this problem. Um, Today, before I say what is the problem, welcome to our channel, Software Engineer Reviews Prep, the ultimate channel for you to ace your software engineers interviews. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. Today we continue our series we talk about JavaScript fundamentals. Um, the problem today we will talk about Array.Reduce. Specifically, we'll talk about that, but let's just read the problem first, and after that, let's talk about what is Array.Reduce and what is the purpose for it. So we have saying given an array called nums, a reduce function called ifin, and an initial value called init. Return a reduced array. A reduced array is created by applying the following operations. The value will equals calling the callback function called ifin that takes 2 arguments. The value will equals ifin and the callback function, and we add, like, we run this callback function against each element. If you can see, like, val equals ifin, val equals ifin, so on, so forth. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, just be patient. You will understand everything in a bit. Until every element in the array has been processed, so we'll run this function against everyone. In the length of the array is 0, it should return init. Okay. Please solve it without using any built-in reduce method. So I can't use a reduce method. But basically, we ask to create our own reduce method. So what is the reduce method? So the reduce method in JavaScript is an array method that applies a function to each element of an array. So if we have an array that we will not apply the function to each one, we will use the reduce method. Basically, we are resulting in a single value. It iterates over the elements of the array and accumulates a single value by repeatedly calling the providing function with an accumulator and the current element. So basically, the reduce method is just array the reduce, and it takes 2 arguments. Basically, it takes callback function. Oh, sorry, I just typed the callback function outside. It takes call back function, and it takes an initial value. Initial value. This is the most important thing about it. Let's talk about the callback first, because it's important to talk about the callback. So if we wanted to talk about the callback function that is executed on each element on the array, it takes 4 arguments. So in this callback, we have access to 4 arguments. The first one is the first one is the accumulator. You later. And the second one is the current value. The third one is the current index. The fourth one is the array itself. Basically, if you ask about what is the accumulator represents the accumulated value so far and the value that being created so far. And the current value represent the current element being processed. The current index it's optional actually, is the index of the current element, and the array is also optional. the array is that being reduced. The initial value, this one, and it's an optional parameter actually that specifies the initial value of the accumulator that we are adding to it. If provided the reduce, if provided basically. So basically the reduce method will start with this initial value if not provided the first element of the array will be used as the accumulator as the initial value, and iterate starts from the second element. The reduce method executes the callback function on each element of the array in order. Basically we take it one by one. The callback function updates the accumulator with each iteration based on the logic defined within the callback. The final accumulated value is returned as the results of the reduce method. So let's just take an example. So let's say that we have an array called numbers, and this array has numbers basically. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I will have lit sum, and the sum will equals numbers dot reduce. And as we said before, the reduce takes two things, initial value and callback. So let's just have a callback first, and let's have initial value, which will be, let's make it 0. The callback have the accumulator, let's call it a cumulator, and current index, and basically we are return the accumulator plus sorry, we want to have the current value. We also can have the current index, but the second argument always is a current value. Sorry for this problem. Plus the current value, and we expect that the output will be, how much will be the output? One will be 15, because first of all the accumulator start at 0 because the initial value is 0. So we add 0 at the current value, so it will be 0 plus 1, it will be 1. So the accumulator right now it equals 1, and we'll continue to add each number, so we will end with 15. So basically this is the goal with the reduce. The reduce method in JavaScript is a powerful array method that allows us to iterate over an array of and accumulate a single value based on the elements of this array. It is a versatile function actually that can be used in various scenarios, and here we talked about one scenario, but there's endless way to talk to use the reduce method. But this is a good introduction to the reduce method. Maybe in the future we could just take deep into it. So let's just, right now we know what is a reduce method, so let's just build one. It's a pretty interesting one. It's, let's say we need the accumulator, and as we said before, it will this accumulator will equals the initial value. Okay, and we are running, so let's just let for const lm of the nums. I could call it num of nums, but it just sometimes some of you talk that it's quite confusing. So what we're doing here, first of all, we have the accumulator, and the accumulator equals the init, and we should make sure that we're running the function or running our own method against each element, and we takes its value and we put it with against the callback function. So the accumulator will equals the fn whatever comes from the callback, and the callback function takes the value of the current accumulator and takes the value of the element, and we return the accumulator. So let me just take an example before with the reduce method. So you can see it's quite similar to each other, because right now we created the reduce method. So in the if we use the reduce method, that we have accumulator and we have a current value, and we're running and we're just trying to adding these two things together. In our current version of creating our own reduce function, that we accept basically three arguments. We accept the numbers, we accept the callback function, and we accept the initial value. We start with a variable called accumulator, and this one we assign it to the initial value, and we loop against each element in nums, and basically we update the accumulator value, but whatever value comes from this callback function, and we return the accumulator. We run this for loop against each element, and we return the accumulator by one value. So that's it. So that's it for this video. I hope my description was quite good. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. If you think there is anything problem with my solution, just feel free to give me a comment about what exactly you didn't like, so I can improve it, and this helped me a lot to improve my content. So that's it for this video, and see you in future problems.